Hi, Charmaine, once again.
Hi, Shika, once again. You must be very tired by now because you've been in this auditorium the whole day.
Yes, I have been enjoying all these sessions the whole day.
Fantastic.
So
Great.
yes, without taking up much time of all of you, and also we know that the panelists are waiting for us. So to everyone, I'm pretty sure you have been enjoying a lot of sessions until now, but if there's someone who's logged in right now, this is Charmaine Fivers for you and a little about her. Establishing a well known brand over 16 years in the South African wedding and events market, Tentworks has been awarded many prestigious contracts under the leadership of Charmaine. To name a few, CFO Awards Infrastructure Supply, Gima Music Awards Red Carpet Event, Wonk Music Awards Gala Dinner, Afrikaans is Groot Music Award VIP Area. Charmaine Fivers, event professional since 2008, vast experience in planning luxury weddings and also supplier of bespoke event infrastructure to the events industry, the founder of Tentworks, and the one and only person who has made espousal come to South Africa. Thank you so much, Charmaine, for making this happen. And over to you while the guests come in.
Thank you, Shika. I just need to correct you there. I'm not the one and only person that made this happen. I'm just this part in a big team. But anyway, thank you for that, Shika.
Okay. Hello,
Okay, great.
everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
hi. And and we've got a whole screen full of lovely, gorgeous women. Wow. Hi, all
Thank
you
you. I get
beautiful
you.
people. So great. On the screen, we have Candice Morawitz and Candice, your surname is very difficult for me to say. I should have actually checked before the time. But Candice is from Legacy Hotel Management Services. So maybe you can just tell us quickly something about you, Candice. Just give
Yes,
us some
thanks,
background.
Charmaine. So I am currently the regional marketing manager at Legacy Hotels and Resorts. We have a portfolio of hotels, resorts, and bush lodges around South Africa, in Namibia, and into Africa. Prior to that, I did have a little bit of event experience and background, and very passionate about weddings. So I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you very much, Candice. And then we also have Kelly Mortimer. Kelly is a wedding and industry expert and trainer from the UK. We are so humbled to have you here, Kelly. You are so awesome. Please tell us, our audience, a little bit about you.
Thank you, Charmaine. I'm super happy to be here. So I work with wedding businesses globally to help them to have more successful businesses, to serve our wedding couples in a better way and to have more successful businesses. And I've worked all over the world in the last 20 years, and most exciting event was really working with Her Majesty the Queen. So some exciting stories in my history.
Fantastic. And I'm sure we're going to hear some of those wonderful stories just now. So, and then thank you, Kelly. And then we have Nixi Kennedy. Nixi is from Dalstrom Country Weddings.
Hi guys, yes. Well, I'm very new to the wedding industry. I have previously been working in film, so I've got the very creative side of things, but I'm venturing into this wedding industry with open arms and excited to get to know more about it.
Fantastic, Nixi. Well, you're definitely at the right place if you want to learn more about it. So welcome here with us, Nixi. And then Lorraine Basson from Jembisa Lodge. Lorraine, over to you.
Hi, Charmaine. Hi, ladies. Hi, everyone. Myself and Marinette are the managers here at Jembisa Lodge. We've been here for quite a few years between us both and done quite a few very interesting and wonderful and beautiful weddings. So it's right up our alley. We love it. We get involved.
I love the place so much. I got married here myself, so
fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, great. That's great to hear. Okay, well, ladies, we are going to have an awesome discussion about venues and how to choose the right wedding venue. So you all own venues, or you work at venues, and Kelly, you come with such a vast experience of helping venue owners to to grow their businesses and so forth. So let's start. How do you choose the venue? On what depends it?
Okay, it's on gut feel. Everybody wants to imagine that human beings make decisions based on logic, and it's not true. How many times you walked into a clothes shop thinking I need a black pair of trousers for work, and you come out with a yellow dress, right? None of us make decisions on logic. And our wedding couples do not make decisions on logic. And so the truth of the matter is, whether you're a business or a wedding couple, it's about the gut feel. It's about how we feel when we walk in. When we get that, this is the one, right? Yeah, you see this, Lorraine, all the time. You see your bride, she either walks in and goes, or she doesn't. And the thing is that very always the emphasis is put on the product. It's what does the venue look like? I must spend more money on the venue. And actually, most of our couples, they just want to feel more loved. They want to feel more VIP, and they want to feel more special. And actually, when they walk into the right venue and the owner or the manager or the coordinator makes them feel good, makes them feel cared for, VIP and special, that will increase the chances of them actually having that reaction. So it's about really creating that emotion in our couples so that they can have that strength of feeling that this is the one. It's not really about product. It's not really about logic. And don't forget, Charmaine, our wedding couples are not seeing very many venues in person. And this is a pre-COVID situation. This is not because of COVID. On average, a wedding couple pre-COVID was only seeing 3 venues or less in person. So they already know if you're a farm, if you're a barn, if you're a 5-star hotel, they know the style, they know your price, they know you can fit their guest numbers. All they need when they walk in the door is the gut feel. Logic is already covered.
I fully agree with you, Kelly.
Yeah, I think that and then maybe you guys can tell us, I mean, you all from venues, what is your experience? How do they get that gut feeling? Do you experience that when they actually come into your venue? I mean, for myself also, I know when you have a consultation with a bride, you have a gut feeling that this is a deal or it's not a deal. I mean, you know that within the next, you know that in the first 10 minutes of the conversation, you know this is a deal or it's not a deal. So is that your same experience you're experiencing when they come and look at a venue? What about the other things? I mean, the size, the budget. What is your guys' experience? Do they take all of that into consideration as well, or is it like Kelly says? You know, it's a gut feeling, and then doesn't matter about the rest. That's what they want.
By the time you walk in the door, the logic is done. All of the other stuff, of course, if you know, they have to match the budget, give or take. But that all happens before they walk in the door. So once they get in the door, then it's all about the gut feel.
That's right. That's right.
Most definitely. Candice, sorry, say.
I think it's also about offering something unique. I think when they walk in, they want to see something unique. They don't want to see the same old, like another barn or something. I think if you can offer something unique, that's also a big selling point for venues. Yeah. For example, I've got a beautiful waterfall that you can get married in front of, and I've had that wow factor a few times where they've seen photos and then they come down and they see the waterfall and they're like, wow, yes, we want to get married here. So it is also nice having a unique aspect to your venue.
So again, that's your wow factor. You know, people come in, they see this waterfall, and then that's it. They sold because you've got a waterfall. So that's exactly what Kelly is talking about. Candice, the Legacy Hotel Group has got, how many hotels do you actually have in the country? You are countrywide. So I mean, you must have different wow factors. So how do you comply the need of those clients? Does your venues have different looks and feels to it, or are they all more or less on the same look and feel? What is your perspective on that?
So that's the nice thing about our properties. Obviously, there is some synergy across all of them, which ties them back to the legacy brand, but they are also very unique and very individual. And, you know, sometimes we would have a couple coming to one of our bush lodges, for example, and, you know, they would look at the space and they'd look at what's available and they would then say, you know, yes, we like it, or no, we don't. But for us, we like to try and take guests on like a journey and try and get them to imagine the space. So, for example, we've got like a beautiful boma area, which is situated right in the bush, but it's a blank space. So a lot of people will go there and they can't imagine what that would look like at night with candles and fairy lights and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, for us, it's very important. We've got a lot of video material, we've got a lot of photography to support that. So we can show these clients and say, you know, this is what it looks like now, but this is what it could look like. And that's where the wow factor comes in, because they see it and they're like, oh my word, this is magical, this is incredible. And sometimes it doesn't require spending huge amounts of money. I mean, candles and fairy lights is very simple, but it creates that wow factor and wow effects, and that's what guests are really looking for. And I mean, I would say all our properties, even our city hotels, we always find those wow areas, even if it's just, you know, this is where you can have your photographs taken and it's got an incredible backdrop of a chandelier. You know, people see the wow in that. So again, it's working with the space you have and finding those wow areas for clients.
Candice is so right. I always say that couples can't buy what they can't see. And so unless you're going to dress the space and show them in photography what it's going to actually look like on the day, they're going to really struggle to visualize. They can't look at an empty room, an empty field, an empty barn and picture, like Candy said, full of candles. They can't picture it. But you do that once and take a photo of it, then they can buy it. They can't buy what they can't see. And I love that, Candice. You're so right. I use candles in all my marketing imagery.
Yes, and especially in our industry, you know, the wedding industry is visual. You sell on what they see. That's the first sell, and then what they feel. I mean, they're not going to come and visit your venue if they can't see it first, and then they will go because they want to see more. And then you sell the feeling to them, and then you deep into their pockets, you know. But yeah, so, and Jembisa, tell us a little bit, what is the wow factor at your venue?
You know what, Charmaine, I think we are so blessed with our reserve and our surrounds. We're in the heart of the bush. We have the most beautiful lodge. We've got spectacular views of valleys, rivers, the backdrop to any wedding. I would say any corner of this reserve is stunning. I would dare say it can't be beaten, but I don't want to be cheeky.
Lorraine, when can I book? I want to come for holiday.
The room is ready. Yes, and I must be honest, I think between the whole team here, we very much personalize each wedding, because every bride it's her special day. It's her number one day. And when that bride walks through the door, she is our sole focus, and she needs to feel that. And nothing, I mean, obviously there are certain things we cannot do, but nothing is really, I mean, we've had a goat at a wedding before because the groom requested that we find a goat that he could present to his mother-in-law as a gift, you know, which was wonderful. And we sourced the goat. He was
a goat,
a baby goat.
A baby goat.
It was something different, and you know, the memories are they will remember that for the rest of their lives, and that's what it's about. Bride has got to. It is her day. That's what it comes down to. It's her day.
Most definitely. And I mean, the venues, choosing the right venue, there's so many other factors that you actually have to take in consideration depending on what type of bride you are. Say, for instance, the destination brides. I mean, they need to take into consideration the guests that have to travel, accommodation, all those type of things. So how do you accommodate that type of requests when they have those? And I don't know who wants to start. Let's just go, whoever. Yeah, there you go.
So yes, definitely if you're going to have a destination wedding, or if you're getting guests coming in from different countries or different areas, it is very important to consider, the venue that you're choosing and whether there is accommodation available on site. And if there isn't accommodation on site, then where is the closest accommodation in proximity to that venue? Sometimes also to consider is, especially smaller lodges or smaller properties may require that you book out the entire property for the duration of your wedding. So that would also be something to consider if you're not interested in doing that. And also I'd like to say, and I'm not just speaking for our hotel group, but for most accommodation service providers, they would generally offer very, very good rates to wedding parties. So it's always something you should approach a venue about and disclose up front that you may need some accommodation and what rate could they assist with. Most venues would also give the bride and groom a complimentary suite for the night of the wedding. So those are little extras that, they help within the budgets, especially when you're asking guests to maybe pay for their own accommodation. If the venues can come in with a better rate, that's always a win.
Yes, most definitely. You're 100% right there. And I assume all of you offer that same type of services. I mean, Jembisa, you also have accommodation, and so does Dahlstrom Wedding. Dahlstrom, yeah, I know your venues. I've seen your venues. You all have lovely properties. So yeah, that's definitely something that the brides can find at any of your venues. So tell me, say for instance, and I get this a lot. A bride is very specific, like rightfully Kelly said right in the beginning, the venue has to speak to them. But say now, for instance, and I actually have that exact problem at the moment. I've got a bride that is looking for a venue. She doesn't want to travel too far. It needs to be within 10 kilometers from town, not far out. But there is literally now not something that she likes. So now we're trying to say to her, well, we need to do something to the venue. We actually need to now juice up the venue that it can speak to you. If you get clients like that, what do you do? How do you help them to make your venues stand out? What ideas is there? What can they do different? Because a venue has a very specific framework that you can work within. But what advice is there? What can they do to make it stand out and still personalize it, that it actually feels like their special, unique venue?
So for my venues, I always tell them that they have to do a photo shoot at least once, if not twice a year, because just using images of other people's weddings is not a great sales tactic. And I know that our brides say to us, I just want to see pictures of real weddings. But what they're really saying is, I want to see how the space looks dressed. They're not actually saying, only show me real weddings. And when you create a shoot where you have, as the professional, dressed your space to the best it can be, you can start to show them different looks. And so when you do a shoot once or twice a year, you then very quickly build up different looks that you can show that couple, because they do find it impossible to look at a space, even if it's full of character, and see how it's going to be. So I really recommend to venues to get those photo shoots going, get them under your belt so you can start showing that imagery, because it's right back from on your website, on your social media. It's the stuff that draws in those couples to you and starts them thinking, oh, that's a nice look. And then they just choose, right? They just go, great, I'll have that. How much does that all cost? And it's done with them, right? They don't have to do too much work. They can just see the final result, and you say, well, it's going to be X dollars. This is how much this look costs. And they go, great, can you book it for me?
Yes. One of the nice things about my area is that it's not only, well, for me, it would be a weekend wedding venue, because you'd have to come to Dahlstrom for the whole weekend to make it worthwhile. And at least it's not only about the venue, it's about everything else that you can do in the area. So there's spas in the area, so you can go do spas with your ladies, and there's clay pigeon shooting for the men, or fishing, or cycling, or, you know what I mean? There's a whiskey bar, so you can do whiskey tasting and stuff. So it becomes like a weekend of activities, and there's a lot of other items that you can put on the itinerary to make the whole weekend a full back weekend of fun stuff. It's not only about just doing the wedding. Which,
so it basically becomes like a wedding celebration, a weekend celebration, not only just the wedding day. Yeah, and I've seen that.
You're gathering on Friday night with all your guests, so it's not only the Saturday night where you only see your guests. So that's also other things to consider.
Yeah, especially if it's like a destination wedding, because then the guests are traveling from quite far, so you want to give them a special experience, and it's all about the memories that you leave them with, and yes, rightfully so. Do you other guys have anything to say on that?
I just kind of to my point earlier about, I'm going to use the example again of like our Bushboma area. I think it's also there's something quite special in having quite a plain space to work with. As much as sometimes brides can't visualize the area, it also gives them the opportunity to then customize it according to their preference or what it is that they want. And things like marquees and stretch tents and things like that also work really well in that, when a bride is maybe wanting to do something different or wanting it to be really personalized, and she doesn't want to work within the confines of a venue or a room or anything like that. I mean, that really is just a blank canvas. And then you would get, a wedding planner or a wedding specialist or a decor specialist to come in and really work with the bride and say, what is it that you want? What are your colors? What are your themes? And then really conceptualize something with them that way. But sometimes it could just be that a venue offers some decor elements already that you can build on. So it's it is personal taste at the end of the day, but I do think it is very customizable in most cases. So yeah, it's just really up to the bride working with those service providers to get the look and feel that she wants.
To get yes, most definitely. So working in a venue, I mean, you've got a venue, you've got a roof, and then many times the ceremonies is outside. So surely you guys have backup plans. What happens? What type of backup plans do you always have to come up with? You have to make provision for weather and that type of things. What's the type of things that goes wrong that you need to manage on the day? Tell the brides what's the type of stuff they can maybe expect. Hopefully not, but what's the type of stuff that has happened to you guys before that you had to crisis manage on the day?
Well, the obvious one would be obviously the weather. I mean, that could go either way at any time of the day. Another problem that we are struggling with at the moment, I think everyone is in it together, is electricity supply. That can also be interrupted at any time. So, you do have to have the backup plans there as well, firmly in place for when it does happen, because it doesn't give you warning. Not much anyway.
Not much anyway.
I also just want to add on to that. I just wanted to add on to that with the backup plans. I agree with Lorraine. But also that those backup plans need to be communicated to the couple and agreed with the couple ahead of the wedding, so that on the day when there is a torrential downpour, the bride and groom know what plan B is. So there's no surprise. There's no, sorry, you were going to be in the garden and suddenly you're in an indoor venue. They are well aware ahead of time, and they have agreed and approved that will happen in the event of weather or whatever the case is.
Very definitely.
Yeah.
And I would say to any wedding couples who are listening to this, once your wedding day starts, enjoy it. Go with the flow. Don't have any concerns. Like, once you hit that day, hand over everything to your venue or your planner or your team who are around you and roll with it. So if you have the torrential downpour, if something goes wrong, if the electricity goes off, here's what happens. All of the guests look to the bride to see her reaction. And if she is freaking out, then the guests go, oh no, this is terrible. It's a disaster. And if the bride is laughing and going, oh my God, this is so funny, then the guests will go, thank goodness. And that is the change between success and failure. And it's not the external circumstances that we cannot control, right? We can't control if the weather's gonna pour down. We can't control those things. And honestly, brides listening and grooms listening, once your day starts, you just roll with it. Whatever happens, enjoy the moment and roll with it.
Yes,
So
most,
true.
most
Best advice ever.
mostly, and I hope they all are listening because I mean that's many times the biggest challenge, to just keep them calm and collected, and let them just enjoy it. I always make sure you give them a champagne breakfast with lots of champagne that they can be calm.
Absolutely.
Anyways,
I once had a bride where the registrar did not turn up to marry them, right? Like, literally the registrar did not turn up. This was a wedding in the Caribbean where I already had all the guests sitting on the beach. The groom was in his suit sweating. The woman is in her white dress. And I'm like, where is the registrar? And I'm calling. And they're like, oh, yeah, we aren't able to make it today. I was like, who's going to tell the girl in the white dress? Oh, that will be me then. But we got the retired registrar to come and host a symbolic ceremony so that everything went ahead, and then we did the legal proceedings the next day. And again, that bride, of course, she freaked out when I first told her, but after a few minutes she said, okay, let's get this show on the road. My guests are on the beach, let's do it. Like, let's go. And they had a beautiful day. It wasn't what they had hoped, it wasn't the legal one, but they had an amazing time.
Yeah, and that's what that's what it's about. I mean, having a professional team around you will make sure that crises like that can be managed. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure you ladies have got lots of stories to tell us as well. So maybe we've got like 2 minutes left. Maybe we can quickly tell a story or two and just give the audience something to laugh about and to reminisce on. Who wants to go first?
Well, are we just telling silly stories or experience stories?
Story or something, experience, just telling something.
Well, for me, unfortunately, I couldn't salvage the situation like Kelly could, but we had a bridal couple who had imported special sand from Germany, where they were going to pour it together, to make like a union of sand or whatever the case was. And for some reason, one of the staff at the venue thought that the sand had to be mixed together, so he poured it together into this vase. And the groom came to me in a panic, and he said, that the sand had been imported from Germany, and his bride-to-be was very precious about the sand. And I drove around for about 3 hours trying to find something that even looked remotely the same, and I couldn't. And I couldn't stop apologizing. And at the end of the day, all they did was they lit a unity candle together. But look, the bride was extremely disappointed, but yeah, it was unfortunate. It was one of those things, but yeah. So unfortunately, I couldn't salvage that situation.
Yeah, well, when something like that, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I would have done? I would have just put the sand. I promise you, she wouldn't even notice at the moment she wouldn't even notice. That's what I would have done.
Put them back up again.
And afterwards, she would have thought, that sand didn't look the way it was supposed to look. But anyway, yeah. Anyways, yes. And Lorraine, what has happened to you? That's funny that you can share.
Well, we've had quite a few things. What can you think of? When you put on the spot, off the top of my head, I do remember our little baby Billy Goat who went safely home to me.
The one that probably stands out the most to me, but it's because it happened to myself, is on my wedding, seeing as I know the place, I decided I'd help set up, get it the way I wanted. And as we were busy putting up the wedding arch, the wind picked up and it blew over and it fell straight on my foot. And then after that, for the rest of the day, I just decided, I'm done. I'm not doing anything else. We're at the venue, and I just went and got in a bath. And everybody else handled everything for the rest of the day.
Yeah, when the bride breaks her foot, then possibly she must step back.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And I see we've got a question here which is quite serious from Lunice, and she's asking, How did your venues cope with the refund policy during COVID? And what was your solution? I think that's actually a very important question to the venues that's listening to this talk. So maybe you guys can answer that for her.
Well, I think with regards to us, if I may answer, what we did try to do in most cases was not cancel but postpone where we could, and because we all understood, we were all in the same boat, and if it wasn't working for one, it wasn't going to work for the other. So instead of canceling the whole show, postpone as far as you can, and we seem to have gone reasonably well with that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And Lorraine, did you guys have the same approach to that, to postponing instead of refunding the brides? What did you guys do?
Me?
Have we lost Lorraine there? Oh my greatness!
Can you hear me?
Seems like and now we have technical difficulties. Precious. There she's back. Lorraine, can you hear us now
Hi,
again?
Charmaine. Hi, sorry, didn't you hear me?
No, we didn't hear you. Maybe you can just repeat.
Okay, no problem. No, what I was saying is that instead of cancelling, we prefer to postpone where possible. And I must say a lot of our guests and our clients also agreed to this. So the whole thing didn't have to be cancelled, as I say. We just postponed to a later date where possible.
Oh, okay. All right, great. And Nikki, you there, what have you guys done in Dahlstrom? Did you take the same approach?
Honestly, we haven't had any weddings yet, so we didn't have any deposits a year ago.
Oh, okay.
I'm still a brand new venue, so I didn't have that problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Legacy Hotels, I mean, that should have been a nightmare for you guys because you've got so many venues. So what was your policy? I'm sure you had a standard policy.
Yeah, I mean, very similar to Jembisa. So we also obviously first prize would be to postpone. We did have to become a little bit more relaxed with the terms and conditions in terms of reducing numbers. Obviously, because of social distancing, it's understandable if someone had booked an event for 100 people pre-COVID and suddenly our venue actually can't now accommodate 100 because of social distancing. So we did have to relax a little bit of the rules, but where possible, we did encourage people to rather postpone. And a lot of clients understand, a lot of clients have then made that decision to postpone. So we haven't really seen that many cancellations when it comes to events, fortunately.
Okay, great. So I think that answers her question very, very nicely. And ladies, our time is up. So it was lovely chatting to you all. And I'm so glad to see that you all are actually doing well and you love what you do. And that's brilliant. And I mean, that's why we're in the industry. But thank you for your time. And hopefully you all have a great show and you all have lots of good business that comes your way over the rest of this year and hopefully COVID is over soon, which I don't think is going to happen, but fingers crossed there come solutions and that we can all trade to normal levels that we used to in the past. Thank you so much for your time and I really appreciate you joining us.
Thanks very much.